Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we are diving into a moment in time that literally changed the entire course of human history. We're talking about the first spark, the discovery of how ancient people made fire. It's this incredible, almost cinematic story of survival, sharp observation, and just pure human ingenuity. So let's jump right in. I want you to imagine something for a second. Picture a prehistoric world right at sunrise. It's freezing cold, your small tribe is shivering, dressed in nothing but animal skins and woven plant fibers. You have absolutely no warm food, there is zero light once the sun goes down, and danger, real, terrifying danger, is lurking in basically every shadow. So how on earth did our ancestors go from that desperate situation to creating the first flame, a flame that would change everything forever? Section 1. Life before fire, a desperate struggle for survival. Because, to really grasp the magnitude of this discovery, we have to look at what life was actually like before it. Simply put, life without fire was brutal. Early humans were drinking out of freezing rivers, sleeping in pitch-black, damp caves, and just shivering through the night. They were eating totally raw meat. And the scariest part? They lived in constant waking fear of predators roaming right outside, wolves, saber-toothed cats, you name it. But introduce fire to that exact same environment, suddenly you have hot food. You have a literal circle of safety protecting you from the darkness. You have light and you have heat. We're talking a night and day difference here. Section 2. Discovering natural fire, a gift from the storm. So, how did we bridge that gap? Well, it all started with a terrifying but totally miraculous inciting incident. The thing is, humans didn't actually invent fire out of nowhere. We first observed it out in nature. Picture a massive, violent storm, and suddenly, boom, a lightning strike completely ignites a dry tree. Now, at first, the tribe has no concept of what this glowing, crackling thing is. They're watching from a distance, absolutely terrified. But then observation kicks in. They realize, wait, this thing gives off heat. And hey, it's actually scaring those saber-toothed cats away. Eventually, they take this massive leap of faith. They carefully snatch a few burning branches, carry them all the way back to their cave, and just desperately shield those fragile little flames from the wind and the rain. Section 3. Keeping the flame alive, the first communal responsibility. Because getting the fire home was only half the battle. They quickly realized they had a huge new problem. You see, this new tool wasn't a rock. It acted almost like a living thing, meaning it could die if they didn't feed it. It seems obvious to us now, right? But figuring out what fire actually eats was a monumental breakthrough. The whole tribe, adults and children together, had to constantly forage for a very specific mix of fuel: dry sticks, branches, bark, and leaves. They had to work together just to keep this precious resource alive. And this caused a massive structural shift in how they lived. They literally had to assign people to guard the fire day and night. It's the dawn of real communal responsibility. The fire was so critical for their survival that it needed a 24/7 security detail. Think about the communication, the organized shifts, the sheer amount of daily energy they dedicated just to make sure that gift from the storm didn't fizzle out. Just to put this whole timeline into perspective for a second, it all starts in a single hour with that one terrifying lightning strike. Then you have maybe a year or even years of a tribe just guarding that natural flame, terrified of losing it. But it took generations. We're talking many, many lifetimes to make the leap from just babysitting a natural fire to actively inventing the tools to create a spark from scratch. Section 4. Learning to make fire, the birth of human innovation. And this incredible leap is truly one of the most exciting periods in all of human history. Generations later, our ancestors are actively experimenting. And just imagine the sheer physical exhaustion of these early methods. They're inventing friction tools like the fire plow, where you're vigorously pushing a stick back and forth, or the hand drill, rapidly spinning a piece of dry wood between your blistered palms. They're also trying percussion, smashing flint stones against iron-rich rocks over and over again, hoping for sparks. It was grueling, repetitive work, filled with so many failed attempts. But then, magic. A tiny, faint wisp of smoke curls up from the wood dust. Someone gently blows on it, and that dust turns into a glowing red ember. It catches a dry leaf, and boom, a small flame bursts to life. Can you even imagine the celebration in that moment? They aren't waiting around for lightning anymore. They have completely mastered the spark. Section 5. Fire changes everything, transforming daily survival. The second they could summon fire on demand, it completely revolutionized every aspect of their daily lives. The applications of this one single invention were just staggering. They can suddenly cook meat and roast roots, unlocking all these essential calories that raw food couldn't provide. They start boiling water in primitive containers so it's actually safe to drink. They can finally stay warm through those brutal winter freezes. And they even figure out that blowing smoke through the camp keeps swarming insects away. Almost overnight, their basic health and comfort just skyrocket. But fire wasn't just for cooking and staying cozy. It was literally their first industrial tool. By holding the tips of their wooden spears right in the flame, they could actually harden the wood. This made their hunting and defense weapons significantly stronger. So fire became this foundational technology that allowed them to advance other technologies. Section 6. Fire helps civilization grow, building the future. Because this went way beyond just day-to-day survival, it actually laid the groundwork for complex community building. Fire is essentially the catalyst for civilization as we know it. The heat allowed them to bake earth, right? Which means they invented pottery for storing things. They used controlled burns to clear out brush and establish permanent campsites. And above all else, this shared effort of maintaining the fire drastically strengthened their social bonds. And I think this is the most beautiful part of the whole story. The fire became humanity's very first classroom. With the darkness and those predators finally held at bay, families could safely sit together every single evening. Around those glowing embers, they told stories, they communicated, they shared hard-earned survival knowledge with the kids. Language, culture, education, the whole shebang basically blossomed right there around the warmth of the hearth. When you picture those ancient ancestors watching the sunset over a safe, brightly lit camp, the sheer magnitude of their achievement is undeniable. The first flame was so much more than warmth. It gave humans protection, it cooked our food, it brought people together, and it literally became the foundation of all civilization. One small spark changed the future of humanity forever. Seriously, the next time you light a candle or strike a match, just take a second to remember the generations of struggle, observation, and pure genius it took for our prehistoric ancestors to capture lightning and keep it alive. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I'll leave you with this. What modern spark do you think we are experimenting with right now that will lay the foundation for our next 1,000 years?